Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today. My name is Juan Morales, Senior Staff Field Application Engineer for SmartHQ service here at GE Appliances. It is an absolute pleasure to be with you on this beautiful Thursday evening to talk about the SmartHQ service app and, of course, show you how to utilize it to efficiently diagnose some of the most common dishwasher symptoms. So right next to me over here is a GE Profile dishwasher, and of course we're going to use it to demonstrate some of those features and functions that I'm talking about with SmartHQ service. Now, before we get started, I want to quickly go ahead and transition over back to our slide over here. I want to mention that we do have a website, okay, my friends? So our website is smarthqservice.com. That is where you can find all the information related to this great application. How to order it, training videos, things like that. But you can also call us at 502-714-2029 in case you have any questions related to the app. That is our number, and our agents are always standing by, ready to assist you. All right, my friends. Okay, so what we're going to be doing today is I'm going to be speaking to you in the camera over here. We're also going to be doing a side-by-side view of the dishwasher itself. And of course, as you can see down there, for time purposes, I've already connected my Bluetooth module. And over here, you're going to be able to see whatever I'm doing on my screen, on my iPad. I will be actually, so let me put myself in this corner of the screen. I will be actually demonstrating in real time all the features and functions. So whatever I do here, you're going to see it on the big screen down there. All right. All right, my friends. So let's sort of put this off to the side and go ahead and quickly get started with our presentation. So the first thing I want to talk about is, of course, we want to mention our mission statement, okay? And that is to leverage existing GE appliance service software systems and documentation to deliver efficiency gains to service technicians through an easy-to-use mobile portal. And my friends, this is very important that you know this. This application, SmartHQ service, has been around for many, many years, and it has been widely utilized by our GE factory technicians, factory service technicians. However, we are making it available to you because we believe that it could truly help you out there in the field. And of course, we're going to show you how to do that today. All right. So, of course, we want to get into the agenda quickly. And three things that I'm going to be talking about today. The first one is going to be the dishes not drying, right? That's a very common complaint. The customers will say their dishwasher works, but the dishes come out wet. So obviously that's that's going to require a service call in many cases. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a quick recap of the cycle history feature, because many times, you know this, my friends, I don't have to tell you. In many instances, there's absolutely nothing wrong with the dishwasher. The reason the dishes are coming out wet is either because the customer is not using rinse aid, maybe they're not loading the dishes properly, wrong cycle selection. It could be a variety of things. Okay, so we're going to show you how to use the cycle history feature to overcome those no defect found cases. Then, of course, we're going to operate some components using the operate loads feature, and we can actually monitor the performance of the entire machine with the watch box feature. So we'll get into all of those details. And of course, we're going to test the heater, right? We need heat, obviously, to be able to dry the dishes. The second topic we're going to be getting into is going to be when the dishes come out dirty. And of course, my friends, this is another big one where either the customer is not loading the dishes correctly, or they're using the wrong detergent too much, whatever the case may be. But in some cases, you actually do have components that are not functioning properly. So for this reason, we're going to use the operate loads and watchbox features on SmartHQ service to help you test those components. One of them is going to be the circulation pump, and we're going to run that test as well. And last but not least, the dishes, or I should say the dishwasher, not draining. So you've seen this, I'm sure, countless times that you go to the customer's house and the dishwasher doesn't drain. So for this case, I'm going to be sharing some of my personal experience with you, some of the things I've seen in customers' homes, so that you can understand, if in case you're a rookie out there, maybe this is, you're not very well versed in with regards to dishwashers. I'll share some of those tips and tricks that I've just kind of learned over the years. But we're also going to get into how to troubleshoot the control board, because in some cases it is a control board that causes the dishwasher not to be able to drain. And you'll be surprised, all right? But when we get to that, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. All right, let's quickly move on. because we have a lot of material to cover. So this is the SmartHQ Service Diagnostic System. Okay, and basically it consists of the Bluetooth module that you see right there. And again, that Bluetooth module, I've already connected it to my device down here. So basically, you connect that to the dishwasher via an RJ45 cable. So just a standard Ethernet cable. The port is going to be located right behind the tow kick plate, so very, very easy to get to it. And once you connect, you are able now to diagnose the unit. Okay, so you're able to test all the components and find out if there's any fault codes. Just like this little cartoon guy is saying, you know, how's the circulation pump doing? And the dishwasher is saying it's running great, thanks. You'll be able to do that as well, of course, through your mobile device. Speaking of mobile device, my friends, I want you to know that SmartHQ service is compatible with both Android and iOS devices. This is a beautiful thing because this means that you don't have to go out there and purchase additional hardware. If you love iPhone, go ahead, use your iPhone. We welcome that. If you're an Android phone or tablet user, you are welcome to use this application as well, all right? There's no need to change your ways, to go out and buy a tablet or a phone or anything like that. You can use your existing hardware. So that's a plus for SmartHQ service. Now, in terms of diagnostics, that's great. That's an excellent thing to have. But in addition to that, you also have access to cloud-based service documentation. And of course, what that means is that you will be able to instantly access things like wiring diagrams, service bulletins, mini manuals, service manuals, and much, much more. Okay. So I wanted to share that very quickly because I think it's very important that for those of you that may have never seen what the system looks like, that you understand what it is that we are doing and how we're connecting to the appliance. All right, so let's go ahead and quickly give you the side-by-side view here. I want to show you what's going on here with in terms of connectivity. So again, I'm going to put myself in the upper corner of the screen, and the first thing that you'll do after you make your physical connection with the Bluetooth module and the appliance is you're going to open up the application. And once you open up, let me just sort of close this out here. Open the application. What's going to happen is your login credentials will already be there. In case you get that little issue that I just saw where it asks you for your login credentials, just close the app and open it back up. And once you do that, you will be able to instantly connect to the appliance. So what's happening right now, I just want to explain to you, put it into perspective. This is very similar to, or the equivalent of you going into the user interface over here of the machine and trying to press a series of keys to get into the diagnostic or service mode. Okay, it's essentially almost the same. And the reason I say that is because once this connects, and again, it's going to take a few seconds, you will be able to instantly view information related to fault codes, alerts, whether the product needs a firmware update or not. And that is essentially what you would do when you enter service mode. You want to basically diagnose the unit. So let me go ahead and quickly go through some of these items on the dashboard here. All the way at the top, first of all, you see that the model number and serial number were pulled from the unit. That means that all the information that is going to be on my SmartHQ service application is going to be relevant to only this machine. And of course, that's what I want, right? I want to fix this one. Also, you will be able to see the availability of the firmware update if there indeed is a firmware update available. Right now, there isn't one because a few days ago, I actually updated the firmware on this machine. So that has been completed already. You also get the alert info and fault code. So in case there was a fault code in the machine, I would be alerted of that right here. Right away, I would be able to see, for example, if my thermistor's bad or the heater's not working, I would be able to see that right on the dashboard screen. Okay, so I just wanted to show you that really quickly so that you understand how simple it is to connect to the appliance. Now we're going to talk about the first issue, which is, of course, wet dishes. Okay, the dish is not drying properly. So again, my friends, many times it's not an issue with the dishwasher. It's really how the customer is utilizing the dishwasher. And what I mean by that is, as I said before, maybe not using rinse aid, or perhaps they selected a cycle that doesn't fully dry the dishes. So that's where the cycle history feature comes into play here, because it allows you to instantly access information related to the last 5 cycles. Okay, so in this case, this is just one example that I took recently of a dishwasher, and we're looking at the last 5 cycles, and I can see that the graph shows me the red line, which indicates the cycle duration time. But if I look closely at the data, all right, if I look closely at the data, I can see that this machine has ran 27 times, all right? So 27 cycles have been completed. It tells me how many days ago each cycle ran. And it also tells me not only the cycle selection, but the duration time. So I can see that cycle 23, 24, 25, and 26, they ran for a little bit, on average 182 minutes or so. But cycle number 27, which is where the dishes came out wet, only ran for 60 minutes. And the reason for that is because the customer selected the express cycle. And my friends, this is so powerful because now you have tangible evidence, right? You have data that you can demonstrate to your customer and say, you don't have to ask them like, hey, do you remember if you ran, the auto cycle or the express, or if you turn on the drying feature? You don't have to ask any of that. Right away, the information is available to you right then and there. So it's very, very simple for you to just explain to your customer, just like this person is doing right here on the slide. This technician is saying, ma'am, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your dishwasher. And the reason why the dishes came out wet is because you simply selected an express cycle that is not going to dry the dishes as well as the others. But let me go ahead and show you right now which cycle to select so that you never have this problem again. And that, my friends, is going to be the key to your success, because that is going to help you overcome those no defect found cases without having to confront the customer, right? Without having to say, well, I don't know, maybe you're using it incorrectly or something along those lines. You know very well that the second you start to question yourself or the customer questions you, that's a perfect recipe for a callback, right? A second service visit, because the customer might believe you. Well, they probably won't believe you, but they might just say, okay, whatever you say, that's fine, because maybe they got to go pick up their kids from soccer practice. Who knows? They just want you out of the house. But a few days later, their dishes are going to come out wet again, and they're going to call you. And guess what? That second visit is going to cost you on average around $107. Okay. Now that number, I have it right here on the screen. It wasn't just made up arbitrarily. Okay. We researched this number, and it does cost your company approximately $107 on average, right, on a national scale, to put a technician back into your customer's home. This is, of course, taking into consideration the cost of fuel, vehicle maintenance, salary, all of that good stuff. It's costing you a ton of money every time that you're sending a technician out there. So if you can eliminate those second or third repeat repair visits, right, you can become more efficient by increasing your first time completion rate. You will dramatically lower the cost of operating your business. And that, of course, is in turn going to make you much, much more profitable. And that is the goal of this application, not only to make you more efficient. I mean, that's great and everything. Your customers are going to love you, but we want you to be more prosperous, more profitable. All right. So now let's go ahead and demonstrate the actual component check. And of course, to begin, I just want to start off by saying that for proper drying, you will need heat and airflow. And I think most of you out there already knew that, but I just wanted to emphasize it. And of course, with SmartHQ service, we will be able to activate both the heater and the door fan. All right. So I'm going to show you how to turn those components on. But in addition to that, I'm also going to show you how to interpret the data from the watch box. That little guy that just popped up there in the upper corner of the screen, that is the watch box feature, which allows you to monitor components like the diverter, thermistor, turbidity sensor, and the pressure sensor, right? So you might be asking, most of you, I think, know what a thermistor is, maybe a pressure sensor, but there was a time that I didn't know what a turbidity sensor was. So some of you out there might be saying, what's a turbidity sensor? I will explain to you in detail, just in case you didn't know much about it, all right? So let's go ahead and activate our component. And of course, the first thing that we are going to do is we're going to test that heating element, the heater right there, but I'm not going to turn it on using the user interface. I'm going to actually activate it using my SmartHQ service application. So this is what I would do if I were you in the field. If you just follow my lead here, and you have this app, this is how I would do it, okay? We're going to hit the button labeled next, and that is going to take us to the next screen. And now we are going to select operate loads. Now, before we can actually operate any load, we have to enter service mode. So to do that, press this little enter service mode button here, and the screen is going to turn red. Now, what's happening here, my friends, is that I am actually I have full control of the dishwasher from my iPad, okay? Now, you could be doing this from your mobile device, Android or our iOS mobile device. And let me tell you, when your customer sees you controlling their dishwasher with your phone or with a tablet, they're like, "What? Are you kidding me? How'd you do that?" In fact, a lot of customers I've seen when I've been on ride-alongs, they actually ask, the technician if they can download the app, if they can have it, but of course they can't because this is only for authorized service technicians, right? Qualified personnel. So, but anyway, enough about that. I just wanted to mention that because that adds a big wow factor, and what it truly does for you is it's going to increase your level of credibility, and that customer is going to believe everything you say from that point on. All right. Next, we're going to go ahead and press operate loads. And again, we're going to try to activate the heater. But before I do that, I want to fill the cavity with water so that I have something to splash onto the heater when it does get hot. I'm not going to test it, with my finger. I'm going to test it with some water. Okay. So let me just go ahead and put this down over here, and we're going to activate the water valve. Now, for that, we do need to close the door. So I will be doing that momentarily. But I promise you later on, I'm going to show you with a clear door cover the guts of the machine so you can see everything running. Now, let's go ahead and press the water valve test button. And when I turn it on, I hear the relays click. The water is running right now. I can 100% hear it. You will be able to see it later as it's entering the unit. And in about 60 seconds, the unit will be filled with water. Now, while this is happening, I want to show you, again, that watch box feature because I think it's important that you understand those parameters and what they mean. When you open up the watch box feature over here, one of the parameters is water pressure, and the value is given to you in hertz. So that's a frequency. Now, don't worry too much about pressure, frequency. Okay, just for now, concentrate on the number. And what I'm going to say to make it very simple is that as that number drops, that is an indication that water is entering the unit. Okay, so the number is going to drop to approximately somewhere between 40.77 and 40.44 hertz. That's your target number for a typical fill. And by the way, again, I didn't just make this up. I didn't just pull this from the air. I actually got this right from the SmartHQ service app. Right here, it's telling me that a typical fill, so where it says expected pressure sensor readings for a typical fill, it's between 40.77 and 40.44. And the value that I see is 40.50, so I am golden. I'm right on the nose, okay? All right, that being said, there's definitely water in the cavity, but the next thing I want to do is actually activate the water, the actual heater, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and press that button at the top that says water heater test on. And there's the relays. I just heard them click, and nothing's really going to happen. Okay, you're not going to hear the heater. You're not going to see it glow red. It's not like an oven, but I can assure you it is getting very, very hot. Okay, 120 volts AC is getting pumped into that element, and it will sizzle. All right. So again, just be careful. Don't touch it with your bare hands. So we're going to let it run for approximately 30, 40 seconds, maybe somewhere in that neighborhood, just to get it nice and hot. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the door and splash a little bit of water onto the heater, and you're going to see the smoke coming out. You're going to see it sizzle, okay? And that is your indication that obviously it is functioning. If I splash water on it and nothing happens, crickets, then of course it's not working, and I would have to troubleshoot whether the element is open, no voltage to it, or something along those lines. So let me go ahead and kill that right now so it doesn't get too hot. And while it's still sizzling, let's go ahead and open the door. And we're going to sort of lean over here. Whoa, there it is. And I can see the smoke and I can hear it sizzling. Sizzle, sizzle, sizzle. All right, so there you have it. That is the easiest way to check the heater using the SmartHQ service app, of course. Didn't have to use any tools, didn't have to go into the service mode by pressing a series of keys that I have to memorize, didn't have to look at the service manual, nothing. Right away, I was able to test both components, the water valve and the heater. All right, so that's great and everything else, but one more component that we need to test, of course, I said before, is the door fan, right? We need heat and we also need proper air circulation. So let me go ahead and make sure that the door fan is in the view of the camera. There it is. I think you could see it right there. See that little red guy right there? Okay. We're going to actually activate it, but unfortunately, in order to look at the blades, we'd have to sort of take the cover off, put a camera right above it. So I think the best way that I can demonstrate is by putting my microphone over the fan motor, and you're going to hear it run when I hit the on button, okay? So pay close attention, open your ears over here, and see if you hear the fan running when I hit on. Okay, I can hear it, and I hope that you can too. That fan is 100% running, and I'm going to go ahead and shut it off. And just for sanity check, I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on. And there it is. I can hear it running again. And of course, we're going to kill it one more time. One more time. All right. So that's it, my friends. That was how I can demonstrate to you how to test the door fan. But in essence, that's all you would really need to do in the field using SmartHQ service to test your door fan. Very, very simple. No need to enter service mode, and you could tell right away if it's working or not. Of course, if it's not working, you would have to fix it, replace it, whatever the case may be. All right. All right. So that being said, my friends, I did show you the individual component check, but now we are going to do a heater subsystem test. Okay. And what I mean by that is we're not just going to test the heater. We're actually going to test the entire system that allows the water temperature to rise. And that, of course, is going to include your drain pump, your water valve, your circulation pump. We're going to test the diverters. We're going to show you how that works and how you can activate it. Of course, the heater will go on and the thermistor will monitor everything that's going on. The goal is going to be that at the end of the test, we're going to have a significant rise in temperature. So as you can see right there on the picture there, the screen capture, we started at 80 degrees, and about 8 minutes and 9 seconds later, we ended up at 101 degrees, which is a relatively a good rise in temperature for that short amount of time. All right, so let me go ahead and show you how to do that. But whoops, one thing before we go, okay? You notice that I have something in there? That's water. What would happen if I fill this thing with water when there's already water in there? I would probably have water all over the floor and the customer would freak out, okay? So in order to prevent that from happening, SmartHQ service is actually very intuitive, and it tells you, right? It gives you these little reminders. Important, please drain all water before leaving, okay? This is constantly reminding you of safe and best practices so that you don't screw up out there in the field, okay? That's why I always say this, having SmartHQ service with you is like having a GE technical support agent by your side at all times, because you have that information. You have, for example, the pressure sensor frequency value information. We're going to talk about turbidity later on. All of that is right here on the app, okay? And I'll show you where to access it. But again, the first thing I want to do is, so I don't flood my home here, is I want to get rid of the water that's already in there. So I'm going to do that very simply by pressing the drain pump test. And in a couple seconds, you should see the water sort of disappear off into the wilderness. All right. Actually, it's going into the pipes. It's going down the sink, down the drain. But you can see it right there on the screen. That's a beautiful thing. It's going, gone. Just like the who played last night? Was it the Yankees that were eliminated, or I forgot? I'm a football fan. Today's Thursday night, and with Thursday comes Thursday night football. So, looking forward to to the showdown. Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to that other test that I was talking to you about. And to do that, once we've completed draining, we're going to hit all off just to kill the drain pump. Let's go ahead and hit the back arrow key, and now we're going to move to diagnostic tests. So I'm going to click that, move to diagnostic tests, and we're going to turn on the heater test. And again, as soon as I hit the start key, every single component is going to automatically be activated. In other words, this test is going to run in the background. And what's nice about this is that, let me go ahead and do it, hit the start key. What's nice about this is that as this test is running, you could put your mobile device down and begin to clean up your area, right? Put away your tools, explain to your customer that, cycle selection that I talked to you about earlier, maybe explain how to properly load the dishes, what type of detergent to use, all of that good stuff while this is running in the background. And by the time you are done, your area is clean, you're ready to get in your truck, you will be able to see if indeed whatever work you did fixed the issue. Okay, so this is what I like to call a post-repair verification functionality verification test, okay, that allows you to ensure, have the assurance that everything you did is working correctly. All right, so what's happening right now, my friends, in case you're wondering, the drain pump is running, and you can clearly see that here where the status column is. It says the drain pump is on, and it's going to continue to run for another, I'm going to say another 10-15 seconds. It runs for about 60 seconds altogether, maybe a little bit over a minute. And once it stops, water is going to come in. Oops, but unfortunately, we need to put the clear door cover. Totally forgot to do this. Oops. Okay, hopefully we caught it. Yep, there it is. We just caught it. Whew. Look at my timing. Perfect. By the way, this is a clear door cover that will allow you to see what's going on inside, okay? You can see clearly the water is coming in. So this is really nice because actually, if you don't have this, make sure you get it, okay? Not having this clear cover is almost as bad as not having the SmartHQ service application with you, because what this allows you to do is to see inside what's happening, and your customers will appreciate, because sometimes customers are curious as to, how do the dishes get clean? How does the water get in, get everywhere in the dishwasher? All right. So anyway, the water valve is running. And as it's running, I want to show you something with the pressure sensor frequency value. You notice the value is going down again because water is entering the unit. And it's going to drop to that value that I explained to you before, somewhere between 40.77 and 40.44 hertz, which of course that information you can find then on SmartHQ service application. All right, so now that the water has, now that the cavity is filled, now we can see that the water is starting to be diverted. The circulation pump is running, and water is being, pushed out of the lower spray arm right now. Okay, water's coming out of the lower spray arm. Now, one of the nice things about the watch box, and not necessarily even the watch box, but right here the parameters, is that it does say for diverter position, the status is lower spray arm system, okay? So in other words, SmartHQ service knows which spray arm is working. But not only does it know that the bottom spray arm is working, it also knows that the direction in which it is spinning. It's saying clockwise, and if I look closely, yep, it is spinning clockwise. That is absolutely amazing, okay? Now, what's gonna happen here, my friends, is as the water is being splashed around everywhere, that water is making contact with the heater, which by the way is on. Our application tells us that it is on, and the temperature will begin to rise. So we started at 62 degrees. All right, there's the number that we started when I hit the start key. That was the temperature of the water. That's what the thermistor was reading. But now we're at about 80 degrees. So that heater is really heating up that water very, very quickly. And of course, we're going to circle back in a few minutes, maybe 5-6 minutes, to see if there has been a higher rise in temperature. Okay. Now, while this is happening, because this is going to activate the lower spray arm, upper spray arm, and I think the silverware nozzle as well. While this is happening, I want to go ahead and explain to you a little bit about that turbidity sensor. Okay, so we talked about the turbidity value. Let me go back over here. You can see it, right? Turbidity. If I go to the watch box, the the turbidity value says 275. Now, if I go to my slide over here, I do have a picture of what the turbidity sensor looks like, and basically that's the component. If you ever have to replace a turbidity sensor, that's a component you're changing out. Now, one thing about this sensor is the value that it's outputting and what it does. So what it does is essentially it is a sensor to measure the soil level in the water, right? How dirty the water is. So if the water is relatively clear, just like you see the glass right there with the clear water, you have low turbidity. And that's essentially what we have here. We have low turbidity because this water just came from the tap. There's no soil dishes in there. So the water is relatively clean. So I should read a value of low turbidity. I'm reading right now 325. And in my slide here, you see that relatively clean water, the number is going to be somewhere between 0 and 1,000. So that makes perfect sense. If the water is a little bit dirty, it's going to read between 1,000 and 3,000. And of course, as it gets dirtier, it's going to read anywhere between 3,000 and 4,000. That's extremely dirty water. That is very high turbidity. And the way that it measures the soil level is the actual sensor itself has on one of the posts, right? One of the posts that you see there, it has inside a photodiode that emits light. And on the other side, it has a receiver. So if the water is clear, the light will be able to shine through very easily. But if the water is dirty, just like you see their high turbidity, then the light will not be able to get from one side to the other, and that is going to be interpreted as high turbidity. Needless to say, the more soiled the dishes are, the longer the cycle time, because the dishwasher is going to have to rinse a little bit more. And if your turbidity sensor fails, I can guarantee you this, sure as I'm sitting here, is that the cycle time will be extended. So, my friends, what I'm trying to say is that if you ever have a customer that complains to you about the dishwasher cycles being excessively long, maybe they say, "Hey, you know what? When I first got the dishwasher, the automatic cycle ran for, I don't know, an hour and a half, whatever, and now it takes 2 hours, 3 hours to complete. What gives? What's going on?" It could be a bad turbidity sensor, and I just showed you right here using SmartHQ service how to test it. Okay, you can just open up the watch box as you see right there, and you get your value right then and there. All right. So another thing about that turbidity sensor is that located inside of it is actually your thermistor. All right. And this little wiring diagram, I pulled it right from the SmartHQ service app because remember I told you you can access service documentation. So the thermistor is inside of the turbidity sensor. So needless to say, if you have to replace the turbidity sensor or the thermistor rather, you're replacing the turbidity sensor or vice versa. You're just replacing the component itself. Now, if you wanted to measure the value of that thermistor using a multimeter, you can do that. All right, you can go to the connector on the main board, J806, and place your multimeter leads between pins 11 and pins 8, and you will get approximately 10 kilo ohms at 75 degrees or room temperature. So that's a nice, easy way to check for whether or not your thermistor is working. That's a good way to check resistance. But the reality of it is, my friends, using the SmartHQ service app, you can clearly see over here that the value of the thermistor is given to you in Fahrenheit right then and there, both in the watch box and, of course, in this case down here. Okay. Now, if I open up the watch box, the temperature value should coincide with this value down here because they are essentially the same. It's gathering the information from the same location. So let's take a look at what's going on over here. The unit has been running for about 5 minutes, 40 something seconds. I think that's good enough. We've gone from 62 degrees all the way to 92. That is a clear indication that that heater is 100% working. Okay, there's no question about it. I didn't have to pull out a multimeter. I didn't have to check resistance or voltage or anything like that. I know for a fact it's working. And the nice thing about this is that because my test is operating in the background, I could have been doing things like cleaning up my area, finishing out the paperwork, and all that stuff, right? So for time purposes, we're just going to go ahead and hit the drain and finish button so that this unit can finish this test. It can go for as long as 11 minutes, but we're not gonna sit here for 11 minutes. All right. So that's basically the end of the test. All right. So another thing that I said that I was going to show you how to test over here was, of course, the let's see. So I think we got everything. The door fan, the heater. Yep, we did everything. Let's move on to our next topic, my friends. And the next topic is, of course, going to be the dishes coming out dirty. But before I do that, I want to quickly show you the part number for this door, okay? I think it's very important that you have this plastic, clear plastic door with you, which works for all GE dishwashers, I think manufactured 2012 and up. So here's the part number. WX05X20002. Make sure you write that number down, have it order the part as soon as you can, and begin using it. Give you a couple seconds to jot it down. All right, I think that's enough time. All right, let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, and that is the dishes coming out dirty. All right, this is a very common complaint again, but typically, again, I want to just reiterate, a lot of the times this has nothing to do with a defective dishwasher, and it may have a lot to do with how the customer is using it. Okay, again, I want to reemphasize proper loading of the dishes is essential. Okay, that's very, very important. I don't care how good you are at fixing appliances. If that customer doesn't know how to load their dishwasher properly and you leave that house without explaining that to them, I can almost guarantee you they will call you back. Or they may not call you back, they may call somebody else, and then you lost that customer for life. You lost their business. All right, so just make sure you explain these things, proper detergent, all of that important information. All right, so in here, what we're going to do is we're going to test the circulation pump. Now, the reason for that is because water must be diverted properly to every area of the dishwasher for optimum cleaning performance. That is very important. So we need to know that water is able to come out of the bottom spray arm, upper spray arm, and the silverware nozzle so that every area in the dishwasher can come out sparkly clean, every dish. We're also going to test the detergent dispenser, and this is, of course, all going to be in operate loads. But in addition to that, we're going to continue to emphasize the data, the information in the watch box, because I think that's crucial for you to understand, so that you can interpret what's happening beyond what you see. All right. So let's go ahead and go to our application right here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hit the back key, so that we can go back to operate loads. To go back to that operate loads, just simply press move to operate loads. Very, very simple. Now we're back in operate loads. We open that up, and the first thing I want to check is my circulation pump and diverter mechanism, right? The diverter that shifts between lower spray arm, upper spray arm, and silverware blast nozzle. Now, of course, to activate this, to see water going inside or to see water moving around, I have to first fill the cavity. So let me go ahead and hit the water valve test. But before I hit it, I want to show you the frequency value that is being given to us from the water pressure sensor. If we open up our watch box, we can see that that value right now is relatively high. It's 43.99, almost 44 hertz. That indicates that the unit is completely empty. All right. And if we look at expected pressure sensor readings, it says dry 44.27 to 43.94. Dry means no water in the unit. And that's precisely what we have, almost 44 hertz. Okay. So that's working to perfection. Now, when I activate the water valve and monitor the pressure frequency value, the water pressure frequency value, you're going to see that number begin to drop, because as water is entering the unit, of course, that value is dropping ever so slightly, and it's going to end at about 40.77 to 40.44 hertz. That is a typical fill value. Now, I know I'm throwing a lot of numbers at you, but the reason for that is because I want to reiterate this information so that it almost becomes second nature when you're out in the field. You don't have to read it anymore. You don't have to look at it. You can instantly see, oh, the cavity's empty, or there's water in there, whatever situation you're in. Okay, so just keep that in mind, my friends. I'm not trying to torture you with math and numbers and things like that. So once the cavity fills, what we're going to do is we're going to activate that circulation. It's a circ pump test. That means circulation pump test. And the first spray arm that I want to activate is going to be the lower spray arm. So let's see where the water valve is at. It's at about 56. All right, so that's it. It's filled. So let's go ahead and activate by pressing the lower on key. That's going to activate the lower spray arm. And in theory, water should come out of the lower spray arm. However, you see it coming out of the silverware blast nozzle, okay? In a little bit, I'm going to show you how the diverter works. And I just want to let you know that it could take up to a minute for that diverter to find its position so that water comes out of the nozzle or the area you selected, okay? And of course, on the SmartHQ service app, it tells you, important, please allow approximately 1 minute for the correct position of the diverter. So I'll explain to you in a second how that works, but I just wanted to show you that so you understand. So right now, water's coming out of the lower spray arm, but what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and hit upper on, right? So what I want is water to come out of the upper spray arm, and when I press that button, the circulation pump will stop, and then it will try to pump water out of the upper spray arm. The diverter will shift where the water comes out of. But again, it could take up to a minute. So we can see right now that water is still coming out of the lower spray arm. So let's give it up to a minute, okay? Now, it's not going to take a minute. I know, because I've tested this hundreds of times. It took, 10 seconds maybe, something like that. So now water is coming out of the upper spray arm, and I can monitor if my SmartHQ service application is actually detecting that. So let's go to the watch box, and there it is, diverter position, upper spray arm. All right, very, very easy for me to see if my main board is able to communicate with the diverter mechanism, right? There has to be some communication for that to appear on my device. And indeed, the main board is communicating, and it is receiving the right signals, all right? So that's basically what this allows you to do. Of course, the next one I'm going to go to will be my silverware blast nozzle. So if I click on that, I should see in a couple seconds, up to a minute, right? But it's not going to be a minute. I should see water coming out of the silverware blast area down there. And there it is, all right? Right away, the diverter was able to shift positions and shoot water out of that area. Now, again, if I look at my watch box information, I can see that the the diverter position shows silverware wash, which indicates crystal clear communication between the control board and the diverter mechanism. So that being said, let's go ahead and kill this test. And again, the reason you're testing this is because your customer may have complained to you about maybe the dishes on the bottom rack coming out clean, but the ones on the top are not, or maybe vice versa, right? And again, in some cases, it could just very well be that the customer selected lower rack only, not the entire dishwasher. But you won't know that unless you actually, now there is one way to know. If you open up the cycle history feature and you look at how the customer has been using the machine, you'll clearly see that right there. But of course, this is a really easy way for you to check if physically, right, if the diverter is working well and if water is able to get to every area of the dishwasher. It's a very, very simple test to do. All right. So now we are going to move to the other test that I want to show you, which is going to be the full circulation pump subsystem test. But before I do that, all right, I did promise I was going to show you how to activate this little guy over here, and that is the main cup dispenser. Okay, so this main cup dispenser, that's where your detergent is going to come out of, and it's very, very important that you understand that if it's blocked, right? Maybe it has a dish in front of it, especially the ones that flap open this way. That detergent is not going to be able to come out and mix with the water, so that could be an issue, right? That is straight up a customer education issue. You just have to explain proper loading of the dishes, right? I've said that like 3 or 4 times already. But in the event that it is actually not working, the traditional method that I've seen technicians use to activate it is they close the door, they run a cycle, and then they sit there for about 10-15 minutes, because that's about how long it takes for that to open up. And they try to hear if it opens. If it does, great. If it doesn't, guess what? They're replacing a part. But check this out. In 1 second, you're going to be able to see that dispenser open by pressing one button. Here we go. There it is. Wow. You saw how fast that was? That's incredibly fast. And this is an easy way for you to activate that main cup dispenser. Very, very fast. Now, incidentally, there is a button that says on 15 seconds, and that one is for your rinse aid dispenser over here. So what's going to happen if I press that and there's rinse aid in there, in approximately 15 seconds, you're going to be able to see a little bit of the rinse aid dripping out from the bottom. And that's, of course, a clear indication that that rinse aid dispenser is working as well. Okay, but let me go ahead and show you this again because it was so much fun. We're going to turn it on again. So on. Boom, there it is. I could do this all day, my friends, but I'm not going to do that, all right? You have much more important other things to do than to watch that little dispenser cup open up and close. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to the other test, which is, again, the circulation test. And to do that, we're simply going to go ahead and hit the back key. We're going to move again to diagnostic tests, and now we're going to move to circulate test. We're going to click on that. So we are going to start the test, but before we do that, again, having SmartHQ service is like having a GE technical support agent with you at all times, right? And the reason for that is because you have instructions here, okay? Before I just start pressing buttons randomly, I need to read the instructions, and SmartHQ service is so intuitive that it tells you exactly what you need to do to prevent, again, a disaster from happening in your customer's home. First thing it tells you, manual step. Make sure the door is closed. So in theory it is, because I have this clear door cover. And that the pressure sensor reads between 44.27 and 43.94 hertz. What does that mean? It's saying make sure that the dishwasher is dry, that there's no water in there, because when we pump water in there, if there's already water inside, it's going to flood your customer's house. So let me go ahead and go to the watch box, and I can see my water pressure is low. I have to get rid of that water, okay? So what this number, because it's low, it's indicating that there's 100% water inside there. I never drained it, if you notice. I never hit the drain pump button. But SmartHQ service is so intuitive, so intelligent, that in case you're a knucklehead like myself and you forget to drain the water, it is actually going to run the drain pump first for approximately 70 seconds, just to get rid of any water that could be there. So when I hit the start key, what's the first thing that's going to happen? The drain pump is going to run, and there it is. I just heard the relays click. Water is going down the drain. All right. How intelligent, how cool is that? That SmartHQ service prevents you from, essentially flooding your customer's kitchen or house, whatever it is, right? You definitely don't want to do that when you're in the customer's home. All right, so once it fully drains the water, and we can actually see that in the pressure frequency value here, the water is completely drained. Once that happens, again, it's going to run for about 70 seconds, just like it said here in the instructions. Of course, the water valve will turn on for 1 minute. It'll fill, and then that circulation pump will run, and it'll run the essentially the same test that I showed you earlier, where I activated first the lower spray arm, upper spray arm, and the silverware nozzle. This is going to do it all automatically, all by itself. So again, this is another post-repair verification functionality verification test that you can use out there in the field. So if you replace, for example, your circulation pump or your diverter or whatever, water valve, you can run this test to check that everything works to perfection. Right? It's a really, really nice tool to have. All right, so the cavity is filling. We should see that number, the frequency dropping. And ultimately, it does tell you on step number 4, right there, you can read it. It says the pressure sensor will output between 40.77 and 40.44 hertz for a typical fill. So once the cavity is filled, I should see that value appear on my water pressure frequency number. All right, so this is going to run again for about 60 seconds. Then the circulation pump will run, and below the parameter right there that you see on the screen, the diverter position will be shown depending on where the water is coming from. So if it's coming from the lower spray arm, that is going to say lower spray arm. If it's coming from the upper spray arm, it's going to say upper spray arm, so on and so forth. All right. So I hope you understand so far the value of the tool, how simple it is to utilize it, and how you can leverage this to resolve some of these these very common complaints that you hear out there in the field quite a bit. All right. Don't forget, holiday season is coming up, right? Friends and families are going to gather, and there's going to be tons and tons of dishes, and those dishes are not going to clean themselves. So you have to be out there to repair these units in case they go down. All right, my friends, so while this is running, okay, and again, the lower spray arm is going to run first, followed by the upper and the silverware blast. I want to go ahead and show you something related to the diverter, okay, some information about it, because you might be asking, well, how does the water shift from one side to the other? That's actually very simple. This is a new style diverter, which actually is it's an active 4-port driver. So the way that it works, the theory of operation is that the switching of positions is accomplished by the circulation pump motor. Okay, so when it shuts down, what's going to happen is the pressure will, of course, drop, and the diverter, the disc that's inside there, let me go ahead and sort of show you what's inside. That disc is going to move, all right? And what's going to happen is when the circulation pump is in the off position, that disc is going to sit halfway between 2 ports. And at that point, no water can go anywhere. But as the circulation pump runs, the disc is going to rotate. It's going to get pushed up, and it's going to rotate 1/8 of a revolution counterclockwise. That is going to allow water to come out of one of the ports. And then when the circulation pump stops, the disc will once again drop, but it'll continue to rotate 1/8 of a revolution counterclockwise. And of course, that will prevent the water from going anywhere. So this mechanism provides a really, really good seal for the sump, the motor, and conduit adapter, and it's great for preventing leaks. Right? It's really, really, really a fantastic design. Of course, the way that the control board knows what the position of that diverter is via the internal reed switches, which of course will align with the magnets, and that's what's going to provide the feedback signal to the control board. So that, in essence, my friends, is the theory of operation of that diverter. Very, very cool thing. In case you ever get a chance to check it out, take it apart, you'll be able to see that little guy in there. All right, so let's see where we're at. We're at the upper spray arm now. So while this is happening, we're almost done with the presentation. So I want to quickly go ahead and just talk to you about our website. Okay, we do have a website, smarthqservice.com, for those of you that may have joined us a little bit late. Our phone number is 502-714-2029. Of course, you can reach us there anytime. And for those of you out there that are using SmartHQ service, first of all, we want to thank you for your support. and for using the app, you can email us at smarthqservice.support@geappliances.com in case you have any questions related to the app, any issues. And of course, you can send us a letter or postcard if you're on a nice vacation out there. Our address is right there below. So in the website, you're going to find information about how to place an order, and it's very, very simple for you to do that. You'll also find a plethora of training videos which are going to show you step by step how to use the functions of the application. I know here I'm only showing you dishwashers, but on the website you're going to find refrigerators, ovens, washers, all of that good stuff. And of course, we do have testimonials from some of our customers that are using the app. They will share their stories of how SmartHQ Service has transformed their business. And right up there, we have our president and CEO who has a very special message for everyone. Mr. Kevin Nolan, he highly endorses this app, and so take a look at his message. All right, you'll really like it. So that's basically the website that information that I wanted to share with you. Again, smarthqservice.com. Let's go back over here to the test, and we can see that water is now coming out of the silverware nozzle, silverware wash nozzle, and clearly the diverter position reflects that. So again, for time purposes, I'm going to go ahead and kill this test by pressing the drain and finish button. So boop, drain and finish. That is going to stop the test. I don't think I pressed it hard enough. There it is. Okay. So I'm going to stop the test. The unit will drain. You can hear it now draining. And that's it. That's the test. Now, what's nice about this is, again, we were able to see that water can automatically come out of all the different three areas of the dishwasher, which for all intents and purposes tells us that this dishwasher should be able to clean the dishes properly. Okay. Anything else that's happening with relation to the dishes coming out dirty could be related to, again, something else, and I mentioned those things before. All right, the last topic we want to talk about is, of course, what happens when the dishwasher doesn't drain. All right, my friends, first and foremost, please, 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 please make sure that you check that water filter. Okay, that water filter, if it's dirty, guess what? Nothing's going to happen. The water is not going to be able to drain properly, and then your customer wonders why their dishwasher, is really, really stinky. I've seen cases where the customer owns the machine for a year, 2 years, and they've never touched that drain filter. So just do yourself, the customer, a favor. Take it out, run it under some hot water, scrub it a little bit, and you should be ready to rock and roll. Also, while you're there, please make sure that the customer or whoever installed this thing has installed a high drain loop. All right. I can't tell you how many times I've seen the installation botched, right? There is no high drain loop. And then, of course, the water gets backed up and goes right back into the dishwasher. And then, of course, the garbage disposals, right? That's something that's very common, especially when this is recently installed. And if the person that installed this didn't knock out that discharge plug, you're going to have a no drain situation. Now, my suggestion, my friends, for this type of case is that you don't do it yourself. Okay, I've seen a lot of technicians go out there with their flat blade and a hammer and they whack it and they try to bust out that discharge plug, and all they end up doing is breaking something, or they can't pull out the plug once it's inside, and it just creates all sorts of headaches. Okay, my recommendation is I have the customer contact the whoever installed that garbage disposal and have them do it, just for you not to have to deal with that. All you need to do is remove the hose, put it in the sink, activate the drain pump using SmartHQ service, excuse me, to ensure that it's working properly. All right, that's what I would recommend for you to do. Now, there are instances in which a control board may be bad, or a component in the control board may be bad. Okay, and the reason I mentioned that is because SmartHQ Service has a variety of videos built right into the app, which are, of course, related to features and functions. But there's also repair videos, such as the one that you see right here, where this video will talk to us about why the circulation pump or drain pump aren't working in the event that there's an open fuse. Okay, so let me go ahead and go right to that video.
To access the new main control with removable fuse, remove one 1/4 inch hex head screw, pull down on the front, and carefully pull the control out. To remove and check the fuse, needle nose pliers may be used to pull the fuse out of the receptacle on the control. Use caution when installing the fuse, as the terminals will bend easily. The fuse will open if a short or ground happen in either the circulation pump or drain pump. It can be checked with a simple continuity check across the fuse terminals. If it is found open, a resistance check to the drain motor will be needed. Approximately 27 ohms is the correct specification for drain pumps. In this video, a newer version of the harness was used. The current black drain pump wire is shown as blue. As a reminder to previous training and printed material, the circulation pump has internal components such as diode and rectifier, which make diagnosis near impossible. The result of complete diagnosis is, if the fuse is open and the drain pump resistance is not correct, replace the fuse and the drain pump. If the drain pump checks correctly, replace the fuse and the circulation pump.
All right, my friends, and there you have it. That is the video that you can find right on the SmartHQ service application to show you what to do in case you have an open fuse, right? And again, very, very important information, very useful, because you could be out there changing a drain pump, right? When in reality, that's not going to fix the issue. Or you might change the entire main board, and again, that won't fix the issue. So it's really important that you understand all of this information, which again can be found in the SmartHQ service app. All right, my friends, unfortunately, that is all the information that I have for you today, but I want to thank you once again for watching. Please continue to be safe out there and join us next month for the next YouTube live session sometime in November, right? Have a great evening, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.